He's got a game or two to burn. Actually, the quote was, he has a game to burn. He has 2 games to burn. The playoff benefits Kirby Smart. That was Paul Finebaum talking about the situation coming into the 2024 season with the not just the Georgia Bulldogs, but he was referencing Kirby and company specifically. And we've entered a new day in college football. We've entered a new time where so much of what we've gotten used to over the last 10 years, that's going to be gone this season. Losses to Florida, say, in 2014, or losses to, or even wins over teams like Clemson in 2021, those would not eliminate anyone. I mean, like, you know, it's wide open now in a way that it wasn't. And to Paul's point, you're giving Georgia and Kirby Smart a couple mulligans probably. I've seen a lot of talk about. I do not believe this necessarily. I will have to see it to believe it. Talking about how Georgia can lose 3 games and still get into the college football playoff. That's what Joel Klatt said. Um, I don't think anyone legitimately believes Georgia will lose 3 games in the regular season, but I just don't know. I mean, 3 losses. I don't think that the playoff will be that forgiving coming into things. I mean, when you go back and look over time, um, that's just not been. That's not been. It's been really hard to stay in the top 12 with 3 losses. Now we'll see here over time. I don't know, but we'll see here over time. But I think for Georgia and Kirby and them, the biggest thing right now is that they do have more opportunity. Like, you think about the 19 team or the 18 team, those teams would have all been in the college football playoff. Georgia would have been in the semifinals of the at that point of the college football playoff in 2020, if my math is correct. They'd have been the 8-9 going into, no, they'd have been, that would have put them in the that would have gotten to the quarterfinals, and they would have taken on, I guess that scenario, they would have taken on Alabama, which they would not have beaten Alabama in 2020 a second time. I don't in a second game. That just wouldn't have happened. But when you think about where Georgia was at, whatever you want to call it, you know, this changes things, I would say, pretty significantly. I'm just looking at the rankings from the recent past. In 2023, no one with 3 losses was ranked in the top 12. And keep in mind, it's going to have to be top 11. So this discussion of, you can lose 3 games, there's we can say that, but there's no evidence that that's accurate. I mean, in 2019, for instance, you had several undefeated teams at the top, and you had a slew of one-loss teams. Auburn was 9-3, ranked number 11 as the regular season concluded. But I just, I am skeptical a 3-loss team will get into the playoff. Georgia would be the team this year. If people are trying to say Georgia could lose, Georgia currently as it stands could be a 3-loss team and get into the playoff. Okay, but I just don't. I'm not sure that we should be making the argument that they will get in it with 3 losses. It's not something. Talk about a hypothetical. It's just not. It's not something I see happening. Now, if there's a team with 3 losses this season that gets in, it would be Georgia. But even then, y'all, I mean, like, what would their best win be at that point? Would it be Tennessee or Clemson? I mean, that's not saying a lot, necessarily. I mean, you don't have Missouri anymore. I don't know. But when you're giving Kirby an extra, bite of the apple, that's usually worked out okay for Georgia. I mean, in 21, national championship, second game they played against Alabama, they controlled that game in the second half. Alabama had not been kind of outplayed like that, and it had been a while. It had been a couple of years. I mean, LSU really whipped their ass in 2019. It was not that bad, but it was something like that in the fourth quarter. I mean, I don't know if Alabama scored in the fourth quarter. So um, I think though too, you're giving everybody else a second chance as well. That's the thing. No one loss. This is definitively true. No one loss in the regular season is going to keep you out of the playoff. I mean, not if you're an SEC team. Now, even if you're in the ACC, I don't think that an ACC team can lose any one game and really get knocked out of the entire thing. There could be scenarios where that's true. Make sure you're checking out our newsletter. The link is down below. We've got an offer right now that's awesome. You can get Dawg Post for $1. You pay $1 and you get Dawg Post until the Alabama game for that fee. That's it, $1. It's everything that you're not getting here: the message board, the insight, the articles, all of that stuff you're not seeing on these videos. Make that a part of your every single day life over at Dawg Post. The link is down below for the newsletter, and you can get the $1 deal on any article that's a premium article, and almost all of the other ones is at the top of the screen. Just sign up for $1 and you'll get it through the Alabama game. But no one game is going to eliminate anybody in the SEC in the regular season. There are going to be games in the Power 5 or in the whatever we're calling it, Group of 5. There will be situations with them. Well, let's be honest, so nobody cares about them. No one cares about Liberty or Coastal or these places. They're not going to matter. They're not winning the national championship. They shouldn't be in the playoff. But we feel like we just have to do that. I'm not sure why. What Paul's talking about is the best program in the country right now getting a second shot. And he's really been aggravated, I think, that I don't know if aggravated is the right word, but he's consistently pointed out that this Georgia program a season ago lost one game and did not play in the playoff. And, Alabama lost a game. Texas lost a game. Should they have gone in front of Georgia? Alabama should have. Should Texas have? I don't know. Did Michigan play a more difficult schedule than Georgia a season ago? They went undefeated. Did Washington, is going undefeated the only parameter? Don't ask that around a Florida State person because they'll swing at you. So we are not talking about apples and oranges here. We're talking about probably apples and maybe like some sort of soup made of pears. That will still be the case this year because with the ACC's situation where the ACC champion gets an automatic bye, that's a complete joke. Same thing with the Big 12. They should not be getting a bye. This is, if we're going to go to the European football model, which is fine with me, then it needs to be based in power rankings and reality. That an ACC champion could be ranked number 15, which is completely plausible, okay? The ACC champion and the Big 12 champion in upsets are not going to be the same as upset winners of the Big 10 or the SEC. If you're the Big 10 or the SEC and you have an upset winner in your championship game, that means number 6 beat number 2. That's not the same as Louisville beating Florida State or Clemson, or 3-loss Clemson, who's lost to Georgia, Florida State, and then NC State, getting to the ACC championship game. In that scenario, they would not, because NC State would go. But let's just say there's a 3-loss ACC champion, which is not out of the realm of possibility. People are talking about Georgia getting 3 losses and getting in. I don't believe that. But why would how is it okay for 2 of the 4 teams that are getting byes not being 2 of the best 4 teams in the country? We have got to stop this silliness. It's wrong, and I don't know why we're continuing it. But 12 is better than 4. I mean, 11 is better than 4. I should really say, but getting back to Paul's point about Kirby, I think I've not heard Paul say 3 losses gets Georgia in, because I don't think that's true. Okay, but they've not lost 3 games since 2018, if my math is right. So that's not really. And in the regular season, they have not lost 2 games in regular season since 2020. That's happened. That's happened once, I believe. That's happened once in Kirby's time at Georgia, which was twice. The first season where they went 8-5, and then 2020. Every other year that they've been there, all the other 7 years, they've either gone undefeated or had 1 loss. Well, we know they're going to get in then, and no 1 loss should have. Georgia should have been in the playoff last year. They were one of the best 4 teams. They just were. And people say, "Well, how can you say that?" It comes really easy out of my mouth. Like, how can you say they weren't? Because they lost to Alabama. That's it. That's the only. Now it's only about Alabama. I mean, if it was only about Alabama, then we cannot really say there's been a legitimate national championships. And you can't say the 2022 championship was legitimate because Alabama didn't play in it, right? I mean, that's ridiculous. So it should be the best 4 teams. Was Michigan the best team last season? I don't know if they were. They won the national championship. It does look worse and worse, though, the more this Connor Stallions, or whatever his last name was, stuff comes out. The NCAA is impotent. I understand that. But it does. It looks. I mean, it just looks like Michigan cheated. I mean, that's what it looks like to me. And then during that stretch, I mean, it looks like that to everybody that's not a Michigan person. But should they have the national championship taken away? For me, no. They won it on the field, but they certainly probably cheated in the stands. That's what it looks like to me, allegedly. I mean, I don't know how alleged it is, but it's what it looks like. So I don't know. The other thing about all this too is, are you going to be built to win the national championship? Are you going to be built to win in December and January? That's the thing that really, I'm not sure if college football is prepared for that quite yet. Thanks for watching.